Now, some of you may already know this, but right now, The Sims is giving away My First Pet Stuff Pack for free. Now, this deal only applies to PC and Mac users, so if you haven't already, check out the EA store or Steam, and you can get this stuff pack completely for free. Regardless if it's a pack you're interested in or not, it never hurts to get something for free, so why not? The sale ends on January 9th, 2024, so don't forget to do it ASAP. And if you're seeing this after that date, I am so sorry. Wait for a sale. Don't buy this pack at full price. And with that small tidbit being said, let's build. Yeah, so this pack was a bit controversial when it first came out because it included items that only had gameplay if you already owned cats and dogs. Such as like pet furniture, like pet beds and cat furniture, dog bowls and all that stuff. Basically things that only worked if you had cats and dogs, because without them, the furniture items were just aesthetic. They didn't do anything. So it was kind of infamous for being a DLC of a DLC. And I decided that since the stuff pack was currently free, it would be a really good idea to make a build that featured both cats and dogs and the My First Pet stuff. Now, a lot of the furniture that comes in the My First Pet stuff pack is really bright and colorful, very fun, very vibrant, and very child-friendly. So for this build, I am mostly going to be featuring all kinds of fun-looking furniture. A house that's very child-friendly and pet-friendly too. I strayed away from the typical Cape Cod style that I like to do for Brindleton Bay houses. You know, the kind of houses that are symmetrical with the front shingles and all that stuff. The kind of houses that you see really commonly in the New England area. And this time I tried to go for something a little bit different with a slightly asymmetrical build, a little bit smaller, with an upstairs loft and an enclosed porch. Lofts in this game tend to be kind of weird and difficult to do sometimes, especially when you want that fence along the outside edge. So I had to do a lot of shenanigans with rooming and the ceilings and all that stuff, but I managed to get it down. It's always a fight, but once you figure it out, I feel like having an open loft is always really cute and fun in a build. So this house features 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and the loft, alongside the enclosed porch and a fenced backyard. The floor plan is a little tight and cramped, but it has everything you need, and it goes far enough without being too big. A lot of times I feel like big houses are not only difficult to build and furnish especially, but sometimes when houses get too big, it feels like it's difficult for your Sims to navigate and get everywhere. So sometimes it's refreshing to make these smaller houses. For the enclosed porch over here, I use these cats and dogs windows that I find myself almost never using because they don't have windows in them. It's just kind of like an open hole in the wall. So whenever I get to make an enclosed porch in the Brindleton Bay style, I do like to use these. It's a bit of a rare treat, you know? I also had to do a lot of roofing shenanigans here as well with these dormers, so I had to cut up the roof in a bunch of different sections to get this to all look nicely. I've been trying to learn to use dormers in my builds more frequently. It's a bit new to me, and I'm learning, but I feel like I'm getting a little bit better and better each time I try. And from the enclosed porch out back over here, I'm also including a back door into a backyard. I got to use a lot of brick in this build, which I find myself not using brick pathing or stairs or foundations very often, but in this location in particular, in Brindleton Bay next to the animal hospital, they have a lot of brick roads, so I thought that adding the brick foundations and staircase would really help bring the build into the world. A lot of times when I'm building, I try to really look at the house and look at the world around me and try to match the world as much as possible. I want the house to look like it belongs here. And so far, this house does look pretty good in this area. I really like the build items we get with cats and dogs. I feel like all of the windows and doors really complement each other, which isn't something I can say about a lot of other expansions. I think one of my biggest pet peeves is when a pack will include new doors and windows, but there's not enough variety in them to feature them for an entire build. Like, there's like just one window or just 2 doors or something like that, and not of variable sizes. But Cats and Dogs has fantastic windows and doors, so you can easily build an entire house using just those items. And the bonus is that all the swatches match, which you can't say about all of the builds. And looking at you, Seasons, I feel like as much as I like the Seasons windows and doors, I feel like matching swatches with them is sometimes nightmarish. Cats and Dogs, though, easy. Oh yeah, and if you download this house, the loft is designed in such a way that if you want to expand this house and make it a little bit bigger to feature more bedrooms, you can easily convert that loft either into an enclosed space or even expand it to fill the entirety of the second floor without adjusting or altering the outside floor plan. So if you feel like it's not enough space and you want some extra bedrooms, you can definitely do that. I also included a laundry room in this build, and I've been a little bit more comfortable with including laundry day in some of my builds that I upload because if I'm not mistaken, a lot of simmers own laundry day. And I feel like that pack has a way of kind of introducing a bit of realism into some of the builds. So nearly every house I make will probably have a laundry room. But if you don't have laundry day, that is perfectly okay because the washer and dryer are typically the only things from that pack that I will include. And that washer dryer room also features the litter box in this build. So if you don't have the washer dryer, you can either just leave the room for the litter box, or you can convert it into like a bit of a storage or something like that. My laundry rooms are always very small and kind of function as utility, so you're never really missing anything out if you don't have laundry. I went back and forth a lot with the landscaping in this. Like, I redid this front yard over and over again because I feel like good landscaping can make or break a build sometimes. Good landscaping can make even the most boring and basic houses look pretty good because without the flowers and the front garden, this house was looking a little drab. But after adding in these flower boxes and the sunflowers and all the other bushes that I put in later, it really brings the whole thing to life. My favorite way to make garden boxes in this game is to use that tiny little fence surrounding the garden. And unfortunately, as of recording this right now, we're having a glitch in The Sims right now where if you have a fence touching a railing anywhere at any point, the railing just disappears. And if you delete the fence, the railing just comes back. It just becomes invisible if a fence touches the railing, which has been kind of making builds more difficult and annoying for me lately. So when I built this house, I did it very specifically in mind, have their railings not touching fences. I extended them out purely to make sure that I could get away with doing my garden boxes, as I usually like to. I really hope they fix that glitch soon, because it's been very annoying. Sometimes it happens inside the houses too, not just with fencing. Like, I was rebuilding the Goth family house recently, and I had that stupid railing glitch even inside their house. It's awful. But anyway, I kept the landscaping very manicured and nice, nothing too crazy, something that would look like it would be very nice in town. Because like I said, I like to make my houses look like they belong in the area. So if I'm going to have a house in the middle of town, I want to give them a manicured lawn. I also included a pretty sizable backyard in here with a small pool, so dogs can swim in it. And I got to use a lot more of that brick and stone back here as well, and it looks really cute. I like the stone pathing I did up to the pool. It's a fully enclosed backyard too with a gate, so you're free to have your cats and dogs explore the house in the backyard and be able to lock them and whatnot without fear of your pets running away, because as you know, cats will sometimes just ditch. They'll just run away no matter how happy they are. So this way cats can have a little bit of access outside without running away, because I also included that cat tower outside because it's actually made almost completely of wood. It looks like something that would do pretty well outside. But yeah, nothing too crazy with the backyard. Very modest, very clean. Enough space for the pool, a little bit of a kid stuff, and an outdoor eatery. Now, I also wanted to include that cats and dogs awning, which I put over the back door. And that thing caused nightmares for me, because the awnings in this game have like a very specific roof tiling, and I tried really, really hard to try and make the roofing match that awning. And for the life of me, I could not figure it out. I went back and forth with that stupid roofing over and over again until I eventually found something that was close enough, and I just went, yeah, good enough, just do it. Because I wanted to try and include things in the cats and dogs and my first pet stuff packs that I don't typically build with, and the awning is one of them. So I really shoved that in here, and I made it look as good as I could. I went around with the landscaping, and I put down the starter soil everywhere. I feel like adding a little bit of dirt surrounding the house and plants and whatnot can really help with making a build look more realistic and beautiful. So I went and I blended in all the soils, and I'm all done with the outside. So we're now inside, where I'm filtering by the My First Pet Stuff catalog so that I can really make sure I include all of the furniture items into this build. And the kids' room is absolutely perfect for this. Tons of this furniture is really good for children. And so much so that I found out that my kids' room might have been a bit too small. So I'm struggling really hard to jam everything I can in here. But thankfully, I had enough wall space to be able to do this little rodent decal that kind of looks like rodent habitat tubes going everywhere. And they have tons of swatches of all different kinds that you can mix and match and make them lead all over the walls. I had so much fun putting it together. I can't believe that I never used this wall decal. So I made super duper sure to put that everywhere, and it's so cute. But yeah, I'm going to be moving the furniture around in here tons because I couldn't make up my mind. I was rearranging everything over and over again. So much to the point where I end up kind of putting some of the stuff up in the loft because, again, I wanted to include everything from the pack somewhere. So kids' room, I was super indecisive of, but I eventually came up with a plan that I was okay with. Oh yeah, so the first pet stuff also includes tons of swatches that are Dalmatian and Calico themed, which is so cute and fun. I had no idea that all these swatches really blended together. So most of the furniture in this build features Dalmatians and Calico furniture. And when I made a household to play test in this, I definitely gave them a Dalmatian and a Calico cat. It's one of my favorite things when packs have swatches that all work together and blend with each other. It makes furnishing so much easier. And of course, it's not a My First Pet Stuff house without the rodent. So I made sure to, of course, include the rodent cage. And one of my favorite things is that you can swap out the rodent for whatever you want. They have a hamster, a hedgehog, a rat, and a bubulus? Bubulus? I don't know what it's called. It's essentially like the Sims version of void critters. So like the void critters in this game are real, I think. And the bubulus, which is just the way I pronounce it, it's a void critter that you can put in the little rodent habitat. One of my favorite things is having like nerdy children's Sims that like void critters. They'll have like a whole void critter themed room and then the little playset in their room. And then of course give them the bubulus as a pet. Because what is a child's dream besides liking Pokemon and having a Pokemon? I also made sure to include a fish tank in this build from the cats and dogs because I feel like fish are kind of like a My First Pet Stuff thing anyway. Because if you saw, that coffee table is a fish tank. That item, from what I understand, is kind of a bit of a joke to some people. Not a lot of people like it, but I love it. It's actually, unironically, one of my favorite build items in the game. If I have the chance to use that item, I will use it. And it's not just really cute for these fun, colorful, childlike builds, but I also really like to use it in my island living builds as well. It looks really good with all the Solani stuff too. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if you are a mer sim, you can talk to the fish in that coffee table because all the mer people can talk to fish. It's like a thing they can do. And I think the coffee table qualifies as a fish tank that they can communicate with. And I love that detail. It's so cute. Now, when doing this build, I was really good about keeping my camera steady for a big part of it, but I did kind of lose the plot there a little bit. I've been trying to be good about keeping my camera steady for y'all, so you don't have to see me whip around and go all crazy all the time. But when I get to this decorating phase, I kind of start to teleport around a whole lot again. I have a lot of this, ooh, I like this, I know where to put that, and I zoom across the house and I put it down somewhere, and then I zoom across the house and I put something else. I need to get better at like spot focusing and focusing on like a single spot, don't move from there, and just try my best not to squirrel myself away. Sometimes the ADHD is just a little bit too strong, and I bounce around a lot when building. But hey, on the bright side, during the build section of this, I think I kept the camera very steady. I made sure to keep it at a good faraway angle, that everything was in frame. I wasn't zooming and turning a whole lot like I usually do. So I'm proud that I managed to keep my camera steady at least for that portion. I don't really know what it is about me, but if I don't know if I like something or not, I do have a tendency to zoom in really fast, zoom out, turn my camera around and all this stuff, kind of like an owl. Because, I don't know, for some reason I think that if I move my camera in a bunch of different angles, I can decide whether or not I like something. Do you do that? Do any of you like zoom out and zoom in and look at it from this angle and then this angle, and then you're trying to decide if it looks good? It can't just be me, right? Oh yeah, so for this build, I got to use tons of wall decals that I almost never get to use because Cats and Dogs comes with a lot of decals, and I just don't get to use them very much. So I kind of went all out. I made sure to include quite a fair number of them for this build, especially for the kids' room, and besides like all the rodent habitat stuff. So I put a bunch of the wall decals all over here in the kids' room, more of the rodent stuff. I also really liked getting to play with some of these curtains. I like these curtains quite a lot. I like that you can have variations of them being open or somewhat closed. And they have a lot of really cute swatches, so I made sure to put those all around everywhere. That was super cute. I put these little statues out front, of course, with the Dalmatian and the Calico Cat. Put some pet bowls outside with like a little bed in case you want to host some strays. And of course, the kids' stuffed animals with the giant dog and the giant cat, Calico and Dalmatian. And then a few more decals. These are the ones that are from the veterinary track, I think. So I got to put these all up in the loft that were super cute. The further I got into this build, the more cramped it started to feel. It probably could have been a little bit bigger. But like I said, the loft can easily be converted into a bigger space with more bedrooms without altering the outside or changing the overall structure of the house. But I did playtest this build for a few days with a couple of Sims. I had a single parent, a child, a cat, and a dog. And the house ran really well. It wasn't too cramped for all of them. Everything functioned pretty good. And it was actually kind of fun because this house is very cute and colorful to look at. I like fun builds like this that are just enjoyable to play in. I like this build so much that I might actually incorporate it into my renovation save, because right now I'm kind of doing like a massive project to either renovate or rebuild all of the lots in The Sims 4. And I'm so satisfied with how this house turned out, I might keep this house a permanent fixture in there. I'm not sure yet, but it's really up there. One of the last things I do in all my builds, I delete all the tiny little ceiling lights and I go through and I put all the light fixtures in. So with that being the last part of what I am showing in the speed build, how about we pop into live mode and I give you a tour? And here we are in live mode. This house had really terrible lighting throughout the entirety of the build that I definitely fought with a lot. So I do apologize. But here's a nice shot of the front. And we loop around to the side with the enclosed porch and some of the little dormers. Out in the back, we have a little cat tree, a small pool, some loungers, a little bit of playground equipment, a pet toy box, outdoor eating area, and a gate so you don't have to worry about your pets running away by accident. And snuck out there in the little bit of the back, an outdoor trash can. In some of my playtesting, the dog sometimes uses the bathroom right here, but sometimes they go down here. It's a hit or miss. And from the back, just kind of loop around, and it's all around a very nice house. I'm very pleased with how this turns out. And it looks really good for the Brindleton Bay area too, I think. Fits right in. I really like the little pet statues out here of the Calico and the Dalmatian. Food bowls for if you want to house some strays out here, and a little pet bed. All of the nice flowers in the gardening. And when we go inside the house, We have a small, modest living area with the Dalmatian pet bed, our little rodent, the controversial coffee table that not a lot of people love, but I love it. I think it's super cute. Coat racks and a blue ribbon, the pet bowl. Here's the cat that I was playtesting with. That's also wearing my first pet stuff costumes. Besides all the build buy that the pack comes with, you also get a lot of really cute pet costumes. We have a small enclosed kitchen with plenty of counter space for prepping, or if you want to include more appliances. And of course, I also had to include more statues of a Dalmatian and a calico cat. A small full bath over here, right next to the children's room. This is the final design I went with the children's room because I was so all over the place for what I wanted to decide for here. But ultimately, it turned out pretty nice. We got tons of the rodent decals everywhere that it's so cute. You can actually see like little bits of the rodents inside. And like in this little bubble, you see like a cat that got stuck in there. It's so cute. And all of the furniture matches each other, which I really, really like. I love it when furniture sets match. In here, we have the small utility room where I stacked a washer dryer. And like I said, if you don't have laundry day, that's perfectly okay because these are the only items from laundry day I included besides the basket. But we have the cat litter box in here, also from my first pet stuff. And it's a calico. The enclosed porch is a bit of a hodgepodge of everything. So like I included a game table, this cute my first pet stuff, pet bed, the cat tree. I swapped out this table. I originally had a first pets table, but when I was playtesting the grill, they would grill something and then they would like set it on the floor, and that's a huge pet peeve of mine. So I changed out the table, I playtested it, so when they grill, they'll actually put the food right here on the table. Included a small catnip harvestable here, and of course, more of the pet toys and a little bit of pet paw print mud at the back entrance. The master bed is pretty modest and sizable. I put another cute little fish tank over here with the gummy guppy and an ensuite bathroom. And when you go upstairs into the loft, tons more stuff. Because of all the Dalmatian theming, I thought it'd be really cute to kind of put like this accent wall over here. This is like the base game polka dot wall that I almost never use. But when you make it black and white like this, it kind of reminded me of Dalmatian spots. So I thought that'd be a cute little detail to put in. More of the furniture with all the spotted prints. It just came together so nicely. Of course, also a fish tank, more books. I also included a lot of these little feathers from cats and dogs. So you can find these actually in the debug menu, and they look like normal bird feathers. But when you put those bird feathers in the game, they mount on the wall as like these cute little portraits. So I included some of those, this adorable rodent-themed height measuring thing for children, more cat furniture, and another litter box. I have one upstairs and downstairs, the mounted fish, and of course, more of the wall decals. It's a pretty small build all in all, but I'm really pleased with it. I think it's really cute, it's really fun, it's got tons of colors going on, very, very enjoyable, and I had fun playtesting in it. And because of the way that this upper loft is set up, as said before, you can easily turn this into a full upstairs to include maybe another bathroom, a few more bedrooms, more than just like this upper loft office space. And yeah, that's about the entire tour of the build. I had tons of fun building with this. I love the cats and dogs, furniture, and build items. I unironically love first pet stuff despite all the controversy surrounding it. In my personal opinion, I think they could have avoided all that controversy if they didn't include any of the cats and dogs furniture, like the pet beds, and if they went a bit more full into the whole small pet theme. Like instead of doing just the rodent, maybe they could have done reptiles or birds, you know, kind of like we had in The Sims 3. The Sims 3 had some really cool little pets. You could have birds and reptiles. They should have done that. You could have saved yourself so much grief, Sims. You can find me on the gallery as Pinky Dragon 01, just like I am here on YouTube and Twitch. And you can download this house. It's called the My First Pets house, and it only used cats and dogs, My First Pet stuff, and the washer and dryer from Laundry Day. I had a lot of fun building this house, I had a lot of fun playing in this house, and I hope you will too. Don't forget to claim your free copy of My First Pet Stuff Pack from the EA Store or Steam for those of you on PC and Mac. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Feel free to give the video a like if you would like, and maybe even subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!